Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of First. I almost said the wrong show. The Sam's Report. So, as I alluded to last week, I'm supposed to be in Africa right now, and as you can tell, this is not Africa. This is my studio. I actually left the TV on. Usually, I turn that off, but I guess it kind of works with it on. You can see another light reflection there and there, trying to make this place nice and pretty. So I am obviously not in Kenya right now, where I'm supposed to be. And it has been a hellish week in my life. I'll try to keep it vague and descriptive, but you can let your mind wander, and I can tell you it's going to wander to exactly the correct place. So, jumping to last week, last Tuesday, I got the yellow fever shot, right in the arm. Actually, technically, they put it in the back of the arm, which was a really weird spot and made my arm, whatever. And they say, hey, you know what? If you're going to have a reaction to this, it's going to be in 7 to 10 days. It's like, okay, cool. 7 to 10 days, whatever. It kind of slips your mind. And exactly about 6.5 days after it, I went to the doctor on Monday around lunchtime. I think it was around lunchtime or whatever. And I thought I had a sore throat. And I was like, whatever. And so I go in and they thought it might be strep throat or whatever. So they gave me a high-powered antibiotic. And I should have been like more cognizant about what I was doing, because one of the reactions to this yellow fever and some of the other drugs I got is a sore throat. And like that can be the kickoff sign. And so I started taking the medicine, and like 12 hours later, blood started coming out of places that blood is not supposed to, which is not a good thing if you're about to go to Africa. Granted, I'm sure they have fine medical care, but I don't know if you're... I'm trying to figure out the most sensitive way to say this. When you live in a place like the U.S., your body gets accustomed to the medical care in the U.S., and you build up immunities and that kind of stuff. And Africa has a whole different set of things that will kill me. And bleeding is just about as bad as you can get in a place that your body is not accustomed to. Not to mention, we were kind of told that says, hey, if you have a fever, don't go. And put all that on top of 18 hours for me, 16 hours for Paul. It's 18 hours of flying to get there. And so you can imagine having blood come out of places that it's not supposed to on an airplane or in Kenya would not be a good situation. So we ended up canceling the trip. I do suspect we will get to go back. They have other events that they said they can invite us to. Not worried about that. Delta was fine. And, it's not a big financial burden. It was just literally like, I am about to get on a plane and I have blood pouring out of places that it's not supposed to. And so went to the doctors, many doctors, and you can imagine when you have blood coming out of places they're not supposed to, they have to investigate very intrusively. Would be the best way to do it. And I'm actually not supposed to be sitting down. So if you see me squirming a little bit more today, it's because this is not exactly comfortable. I've been pretty much laying almost extensively since Tuesday, and I'm supposed to continue to lay up until I think through Monday. But I love the podcast. I've said that many, many times, and it does. I have to get off my feet or up off my back at some point, just because, you get restless. And so here we are, not in Africa. We will do another big trip this year. I know it. Actually, we've already started talking about and planning it. So that is why I'm not in Africa. I am recovering. I sincerely appreciate everybody asking. I just appreciate it. I don't know what else to say. It's just a long kind of thing. What happened was, long story short, they believed, we won't ever really know, is that when they got the injection, my white blood cell count went really high. They think that my body just attacked the virus, because it's a live virus that they put in you for yellow fever, much like the flu. And my body just kind of went overdrive trying to combat that and attacked some other things that it shouldn't have. So mostly my gastrointestinal tract. So that has been my life. I've had a lot of men behind me helping me get better. And you can do with that imagery with whatever you want. But the show must go on. Life goes on. I will be fine. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Big news of Windows this week. Actually, a lot of interesting kind of things to keep in mind. One of the first things is Microsoft is now bringing extensions to their Outlook mobile app. They announced it for iOS. It'll be coming to Android soon. I have very mixed feelings about this. I'm still upset that they got rid of their Sunrise application and they put their calendar inside the Outlook app. I wish they would have kept it separate. So as you can imagine, them bringing more stuff inside a single application isn't exactly something that I love. I don't know if I will really ever use these extensions, but if you love the Outlook app and you love extensions and you love Microsoft stuff, I mean, there's some third-party stuff, especially if you're like an Evernote user. There's some GIFs or GIFs, however you want to pronounce it. Dynamics 365. It's worth checking out. It's not meat for me. I am personally of the thought that I like applications to do one thing and one thing well. I don't even use the calendar in the Outlook app. I wish I could turn it off. I'm right now using just the default iOS calendar, which I probably should find a replacement for. But, you know, that's the way it is. So that is it. They also said that this Outlook app is turning 2. I don't think it was 2 years ago that they bought Acompli. So that was probably the launch of the original Acompli mail app. And then Microsoft obviously bought them, rebranded it to Outlook, and there we go. And so that is that. Other things that are kind of going on is it's becoming pretty clear that for Microsoft, the future, and this is going to sound like a broken record because this happened a couple of years ago. The future of Microsoft is UWP. They're continuing, and I think we're going to see a resurgence of more efforts of trying to get more people to use UWP than .exe and abandon the old architecture. Just be looking for that theme as things go on. I'm starting to hear some more stuff about what's coming potentially at Build. And I honestly think that they're going to be, again, pushing UWP. Not that they're going to give it up. With more features, more functionality, and they're going to have more ways, I'm hoping, for people to get apps into the store because Microsoft is pretty much going to start betting its future on this stuff. So it's not going to go away. And what is it? The Valve guys or Tim Sweeney is still having a heart attack over this Windows Cloud stuff because more information about Windows Cloud came out. And this is where things are starting to go. So we heard from Windows Cloud, which I kind of uncovered through Cloud Shell, and then it looks like it's a whole SKU of Windows, which Mary Jo pulled up, actually was able to uncover that, hey, Windows Cloud is a SKU of Windows that only runs UWP applications. If this sounds very familiar, it should. It's Surface RT. What we don't know at this point, really, what I'm really curious to see is this an ARM-only play, or is this going to work on Intel? Because I remember Windows RT only worked on ARM chips, and so this obviously isn't ARM, an ARM announcement. They haven't even announced it yet. I don't know. If they bring Windows Cloud to Intel chips, what's the real advantage? Unless it's free. I mean, you can imagine that scenario that, hey, if you get Windows Cloud, what if they just gave away Windows Cloud for free? Right? You go buy a Surface Pro. This is actually my wife's. I'm very proud of my wife. She got a Surface Pro. Surface Pro 4 should be on the charger there. So the interesting thing is, what if you go buy a Surface Pro 4 and it comes with, or Surface Pro 5, let's just say, and it comes with Windows Cloud, and it's actually cheaper. Like Surface Pro 4 with Windows Cloud, let's just make up a price, is $700. A Surface Pro whatever with Windows 10 Pro is $100 more. It's an interesting idea. Maybe a way for them to lower the price point of PCs, lower the price point of everything else. I'm actually wondering if that's the route. Now that I'm saying this out loud, I'm actually wondering if that's going to be the whole point of this. It's going to be a lower cost edition of Windows. If it's on Intel, it would make sense that you could potentially upgrade it. We don't know that it's coming on Intel. This is just kind of speculation at this point until some people will actually get their hands on the bits. But Windows Cloud is coming, and I think we'll definitely see it sooner rather than later. The question is, they'd have to talk about it at Build, I would think, because if they're going to push people into UWP applications, and then they're going to start selling a UWP only Windows version of Windows version, maybe that's the story. Maybe that's the narrative, guys, that they're going to sell Windows Cloud. It's going to run on anything, and you can maybe upgrade it, I guess. I usually don't do this. I usually don't think out loud like this on the show. But what I'm thinking here is that we already know that ARM chips, the latest Snapdragon 830, can run x86 applications through emulation. Like, this is actually really interesting. Think about this. So I think that might be the whole story, that Windows Cloud runs on Intel or ARM. It can be upgraded, potentially. Yeah, and then it's a lower cost version because imagine you could then really lower the price of entry for some Windows machines. Interesting, really idea. So be on the lookout for Windows Cloud. That might be the whole narrative. I don't know. There seems like there has to be more. It has cloud in the name, but Mary Jo doesn't seem to think it has anything to do with the cloud. So there you go. Interesting stuff that is really going on with this Windows Cloud. That's kind of where I'm focusing a lot lately. That's where a lot of people are looking because obviously we know the creators update, which speaking of the creators update, Microsoft pushed out a new, was it one build or two builds this week? I've been kind of out of it for a couple days. They pushed out a new build of Windows, but here's what's kind of important about it. You notice that this latest release of Windows 10 didn't have a lot of new features in it. I'm the firm conviction that we are past the builds that are going to introduce just hundreds, not hundreds, but dozens of new features. We are on that tail end. Microsoft has already passed the point of no return of, all features have to be, they're at a feature lock state, I believe, unless they get special permission. So they're at feature lock and they're moving to a bug smashing scenario, which is good and bad. I mean, it's bad if you kind of living on the edge and having things that half work. It's good. I honestly think we'll see that cadence of new builds start to kick back up. I know that Donna and a couple other the people related to that team are in Africa this week. They're at Next Tech Africa. That's where I was supposed to be. Little shift in the weight there. So it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing builds really coming out faster now. Wouldn't come out. As Team 56, it says, is the second bug bash for Redstone 2? I firmly believe that is. Microsoft internally, at least the people who are developing features, are definitely shifting to Redstone 3, which should come out late second half of 2017. And so we will see. We will see what happens here. So just know that Redstone 2 is coming down. And so it's not that it's not interesting anymore, but it's kind of like, okay, we understand the whole narrative here. Now we're just waiting for the announcement about when it's going to be released. Then we have this Windows Cloud thing that's going on, but we don't quite know of. And it's going to, I suspect we're going to learn a lot more as we run up to build, which again, build is in May. And so the other thing that's floating around here is we have Surface Book 2 and Surface Pro 5. We have the creators update. We also have Windows Cloud. And so what I'm not sure yet is, are all these things going to mash together to create an event for Microsoft, or are they going to do it all at build? It seems a little heavy to do all at build. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I can't imagine. I mean, they could. They very much could go up on stage and say, hey, here's the Surface Book 2 and Surface Pro 5 during their keynotes. They could absolutely do that, although that's usually not what they do at build. I don't think they would do a quiet release. Remember when they did the Surface 3, they had no event for that. They just put us all under embargo, shipped us devices, and that was the end of that. So, interesting stuff. I think this is going to be a very interesting spring for Microsoft. There's just a lot of things going on. All that stuff is going on. So, we will see. This is definitely going to be a shorter show, although that is some really content-dense information. I would love to know if anybody has any thoughts about putting all that. If you can create a good narrative out of that, it's a really interesting idea that they have this. They have a lot going on. This is very unlike Microsoft to have so many big things just kind of simmering that are on the cusp of announcement. I wonder if we're going to have another hardware event. That's where my brain's at right now. Because you could imagine they have a hardware event where they talk about Surface Book 2, Surface Pro 5. They release the creators update at that event. Say, ta-da, here it is, because they're going to launch. I would make sense to launch the Surface Book 2 with the creators update and Surface Pro 5 with the creators update, whatever features those devices include. I don't know if they would talk about Windows Cloud at that event, but that seems like maybe how they're going to tie all this together. And so I've been hearing potentially April for Surface Book 2, Surface Pro 5. So if they're going to have an event, I would imagine it's in April. I don't think they would have one this month. At least I hope not. Anyways, so that is kind of what has been happening in the world of Microsoft. The things that are going on in my mind as we approach a very interesting time in the Microsoft world. So I'm going to dive into some questions here. Somebody asked about PixelSense. In the chat room. I can't really respond. I can't type because that would be crazy. Yeah. So PixelSense is essentially dead. So PixelSense is that big table thing. I'd actually love to get one of those. If anybody knows where you can get one, I would probably buy one of those. Although I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money because it's just going to be like a toy that sits. But PixelSense is a technology they built. I don't think anything too much came from it. So we shall see. We shall see. PixelSense, I don't like. There was a thought that maybe they were going to bring it to like their Surface Hub and that kind of stuff, and I don't see that happening. Mostly because the PixelSense works on a vertical plane. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't really matter about Surface. PixelSense was a table. Surface Hub goes on a wall. Yeah. So, anyway, somebody said that somebody bought one for $600. I don't know if I would spend $600 on a PixelSense. That's a lot of money for something that's not really worth that much money. It's a nostalgia thing. I mean, I've played with one a bunch. But anyways, so we got a bunch of questions here. Jim Chaplin says, Brad, are you doing better? Yes, thank you. Appreciate you asking. He says, we saw a lot of nice bits of UI polish coming in the creators update, like brightness and volume slider and action center. If we're losing my people, are we at least going to see those additions? As far as I know, we're supposed to. We're supposed to be able to see those. We're supposed to be able to see that stuff. That's, as far as I'm aware, that's coming. UI stuff is always very late in the game because granted, UI work is not always perfect, but generally they want to get the functionality of the feature working and then introduce UI elements because UI elements add another layer of complexity. And if something's broken, you don't want to say, okay, is it just the UI stuff or is it the actual feature? So you do feature and then UI work is typically how they do it. So I fully expect that. Are we going to see neon, which people have been losing their mind over? No, I don't think that's coming at all. Not in this. I'm hearing that's definitely a Redstone 3 thing, along with some other features that were actually supposed to be in 2, like my people are getting pushed to Redstone 3. So Pierre Masse, what? Do you think it's all right to leave my boy with Uncle Ernie? I have absolutely no idea. If he's a nice guy, sure. Mo Jennings, he says, is the new Surface Pro 3 worth getting, or should I wait for the next version to come out? Just got an email from Newegg for $589. Whoa, that's a good price. For i5, 8 GB of RAM, 256 GB of storage. I do not have a tablet or laptop. Just a custom PC and a Nokia icon. Holding out on that Windows phone. I've got a couple icons. It's a good phone. Honestly, I might wait until the end of the year when I pay off my washer and dryer. Okay. So about that, $589 is a really good deal. Like, here's my honest thing. The processor that's in the Pro 3 is fine. Like, it's plenty quick. So it's not like you're. Granted, yes, the Pro 4 is going to be faster and the Pro 5 will be even faster, but it's not like you're going from, say, like a Dodge Neon to like a Dodge Viper. Well, I don't know. Didn't they sell the Viper? It's a marginal improvement. So from a raw performance perspective, especially with a solid state drive on there, 8 gigs of RAM, I think it would be fine. The thing you have to consider is if Windows Hello is good for you. If you really want the features that are in the Pro 4, if you look at the Pro 4 and say, you know what, that doesn't really have anything that I want, by all means, get that Pro 3. $589 for that machine is a very good price, and it will stay relevant and fast enough for many, many years to come. So, yeah, it's up to you, but obviously that's a good value. It's definitely a good value, by all means. Oh, Steve Layton asks, this is a funny one. I'll have to explain. He says, can you rank the Star Wars films in order of your favorite to least favorite? Okay, so I kind of have an embarrassing thing here to talk about. Embarrassing, I mean, I've had literally people behind me this week, so this isn't embarrassing. That's not even embarrassing, it's just medical stuff. Anyways, so when it comes to Star Wars, Paul and I in Las Vegas at CES watched Rogue One, and I have seen some Star Wars stuff over the years, but I've never seen a lot of it. I've never actually watched episodes 3 or 4, and so it's been so long, and I was so young when I saw some of the other stuff. I don't really know the story, and so we watched Rogue One, which is actually like the first one in the series, and so then I watched Star Wars. What was 3? Is it A New Hope? Somebody I know will correct me if I'm wrong. It's the first Star Wars from the 70s. So I watched it for the first time. And so somebody's asking me to rate them. I actually like the one that I watched this week was really good. Rogue One. So Rogue One was very good. I liked it a lot. I think what's catching me up is that the acting in the first Star Wars is not so great. Darth Vader kind of reminded me of like a high school play. Like the acting was not so good, mostly because, hey, this is the 70s. This is a new franchise and whatnot. So I need to my intent was to just start kind of watching these because they're good movies and catch up on the story. So, yes, as Moj comments in the chat room, yes, it is actually A New Hope is the name. So that's the one I watched on Wednesday night after I got back from like my 9th doctor's appointment. So I watched that, and so maybe I will over time here catch up on some of the other ones, and yeah. So, anyways, A New Hope, it was a good movie. Like obviously, I clearly there's a franchise opportunity here. I liked it. So. And then Sam Bullion asks, he says, do you expect integrated beam streaming to make a dent on the streaming service market? This is a good question. Twitch is dominant and YouTube Live is gaining popular. So if you're not familiar, let's take a step back here. Microsoft bought a company called Beam. I believe it's Beam. And they are a Twitch competitor. If you're not familiar with Twitch, Twitch is a game streaming service where you can watch people play games. Esports is growing, and regardless of your opinion about it, it is becoming a huge and popular thing. I myself will occasionally watch stuff on Twitch, and so Microsoft, not wanting to miss out on this, has bought in Beam. They couldn't buy Twitch because Amazon bought Twitch. And so now they're integrating all this stuff into Windows. And so the question is, will it make a dent into Twitch's dominant market and YouTube Live for that matter? So here's the unknown at this point. So Microsoft is building in Beam support into their latest into the creators update into gaming, and they're going to be pushing this heavily. The question is can they build it in natively to work better than Twitch can? If again, and this is the same issue they have with Windows Phone. It's not enough to be comparable. It's not enough. You can't just say, hey, we're feature complete and we match exactly Twitch. Twitch has already won, right? They've already won if you're feature comparable. So Microsoft has got to find a better way to make Beam better than Twitch. Now, because they are building it into the OS, they very well could. They can make it more optimized. They can give higher resolutions. They can do more fun things because they control most of the experience now. And not to mention, they're going to be tying it into Xbox. Well, I'm pointing to my TV back here because that's where I play with this. The Elite controller, by the way, I think that thing's getting refreshed, so look for sales on that stuff. I'm hopeful Beam takes off. It's always good. I'm a big believer that the more, and I say this on every podcast, it seems like every time, the more competitors we have, the better off we are. And so there you go. Will they, to truly answer your question, I think it's going to take time. We need to see what Microsoft's battle plan here is for Beam. I think Beam will do well long term, but there's a lot of road ahead. There's a long road ahead. We're in the very early days of esports becoming mainstream, just in the past couple years. And so it's not an oversaturated market. There's plenty of time for Microsoft to kind of carve out their own niche or take a large slice of that pie. So one other thing this week that I wrote up, just because I don't want to not talk about enterprise stuff, because I do love that stuff. Google Cloud Platform, which is Google Cloud, announced this week that you can now run, they have pre-configured VMs of SQL Server and SQL Server Enterprise. If that makes sense to you, you can go check it out. I wrote up on Petri. It's just another way that Google is working to become a serious competitor in the cloud arena. They have a very long way to go, but it's clear that they are getting serious about the cloud, and this is just one of their further initiatives. So I am going to end it on that note because I am at this point really uncomfortable and I need to stand up. You're not supposed to sit. The reason why they say sitting kills you is because all your blood sits right in your gut, which is where I had all the issues and the lesions and other stuff. So standing up, most of the blood goes to your legs, or laying down, it's kind of dispersed. So anyways, I'm going to end it here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope if you have any good thoughts about the narrative that Microsoft is building here with Cloud, Surface Book 2, Surface Pro 5, Windows on ARM coming this fall, which maybe that's tied into the cloud too, Windows Cloud. I don't know, but this is the cool stuff. This is why I like Microsoft, because there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going on right now that are really, really fascinating. And this is why it's fun to watch Microsoft. This is where I don't want to say we're the golden age. The golden age was probably the late '90s when they just dominated everything that they looked at. But it's getting really interesting again. So, you know what? I'm going to end it here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the well wishes. I'll be right back here, Sam's Report, next week. Have yourselves an excellent weekend.